Hey guys. I kind of parked on the RC boat project for now. I'm out here in the garage kind of cleaning up, just screwing around really. And I decided that I was going to work on maybe trying to put the accessories in the RC car, the other one that I built last year sometime. I never had put any accessories in it, so I don't even know if the steering servos work or anything like that. But I figured I'd try to do that, so I'm gonna get you hooked up to the camera and everything so you can see what the fuck's going on, and then I'll be back with you. All right, cool, thanks. So hey guys, Shannon with Shannon's Garage here, and as you know, the boat project kind of has went south. The board ended up being bad, so we had to kind of shut that. I shut that project down for now, waiting on a part, new board to come in. As soon as it does, the deeper did work really well. The whole design worked really well, although I made some changes I didn't show you yet, but I'll show you when we get back to that. But I was sitting out here cleaning and, kind of just straightening shit up, and I haven't really done anything with this guy yet. Well, I put it together and I got it running. Basically, this thing was just in pieces when I bought it. I bought it from a guy out in the middle of nowhere, basically, and it had some black gas in it. It looked terrible, and so I put it together. I put the new tires on. I basically put the motor back in, cleaned everything up, fired it up, but I haven't done anything with the steering and the throttle servos to actually control it. Because I didn't have any extra parts, and I had all my parts in my Sportworks, which I've had for forever. This thing's had a million modifications and whatever, but I decided today I'm just going to pull my accessories out. Well, not really, just my Spectrum, receiver, and throw it into this other one over here and see if I can't get everything functioning. Maybe even take it to the lake this weekend if I go down. I don't know. I haven't really had time to mess with anything extra, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I wanted to at least get it steering and throttle working, and I figured I'd show you that. If none of you are familiar with Nitro Rc, basically it's a gas-powered engine. It's an ABC motor. The piston comes up and down. Basically, it sucks gas up into the piston, and then it compresses on a compression stroke with a glow plug, which I don't know if you can see it, but it's right inside of there. And this thing, in order to get it started, you have to use this guy, one of these guys right here. It's a glow plug igniter, and what it's going to do is it's going to heat that glow plug up, and once it gets red hot, then it will actually start the engine. Once the engine is started, it runs such a high RPM that it doesn't have enough time to make it down and cool off before it comes back up on a compression stroke to basically refire. So that's the basics of an ABC engine, is that there is no valves or timing or anything like that. It's just basically a piston coming up, making compression, then it goes back down, sucks some more fuel, and comes back up again before the plug gets cold enough to not make it ignite again. So here's my old engine from the Sportworks. It works really well. It always has. The problem is that it's getting pretty sloppy, and usually when they get sloppy, they start to run really well, which is great. I mean, they're fast. This one probably do, with the 14 pitch gear on it, you'll probably do, I don't know, 65, maybe 70. The tires actually balloon out when it's on pavement. It looks like kind of a dragster, all four tires. But like I said, I haven't really messed with this thing in a few years. It really needs the engine to, it really needs a new cylinder, maybe even a cylinder sleeve. But I don't know if I'm going to rebuild this one or just buy a new one. These things aren't really that expensive anymore, but you can't really get the good old stuff anymore. They built shit better 10 years ago than they do today. The same way they built shit better 20 years ago than they did 10 years ago. So that's kind of that. Give me just a second, and I'll get this thing kind of set up to where you can see this car and see, you know, the accessory, you know, the receiver that I'm trying to hook up to it, and we'll just kind of go from there, and hopefully I can get it turning. I don't know if I've got a good battery with my dogs. Yeah, they're awesome. One of them got a hold of this thing, and it's still charging. So I'm thinking it's still making a connection. So we're going to go ahead and try it and see if I can't get it to power the receiver. And then I still had some juice in my really old dinosaur Spectrum transmitter. So it's at 11.9. That's cool. This model will hold two models. That one that I've got hooked up to was hooked up to my Sportworks is hooked up to it, and the Twin Titan that I have back at the lake, which I don't know if I ever showed anybody, any of you guys that, but one day I will. But anyway, let me get this set up, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna try to figure out how to combine these videos at some point. But my phone, I'm essentially gonna have to order a GoPro probably. To be able to do that, because my phone's just not cooperating good enough to do what I'm trying to do. So anyway, I'll be right back, and we'll have a little bit better camera angle, and we'll go from there. Thanks. Hey guys, I'm back. We're going to be putting in this Spectrum receiver into this Exceed Nitro RC car. A couple of things I wanted to talk about before I got into that part is what it's actually setting on. It's setting on a bump box, off nose, and RC cars similar to this use a bump box to turn the flywheel. Basically, it turns the engine over when you're getting ready to start it, kind of like your starter would on your regular car. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is what nitro is. So this is RC nitro fuel. It's 20%. It's basically a mixture that they've come up with. It's kind of like a race fuel. Definitely do not put this in your Honda Civic unless you want to have a major engine rebuild. It will blow your car up. Again, the other thing is the furnace. It's colder than hell out here. I'm in Illinois, right on the edge, right by St. Louis. I got my furnace on in here, so if you hear it kick on, I apologize. I'm not going to sit out here and freeze to death. So I guess let's dive right into this thing. I did a couple of prep work a little bit while I was setting things up. So first, the screws right here, there's a screw right here and a screw right here that are going to hold this upper bracket. I wanted to take that off because I'm going to have to feed the antenna wire through there. So, and I didn't figure I could do it with it not being off. I hope I can do it just from here. I might have to take this screw off too. Secondly, the throttle. This is your throttle servo right here. And you want to take that off. You do not want to try to hook up a new receiver with your throttle or your steering hooked up. What happens a lot of times, I've killed a bunch of servos this way, is when you try to hook it up, the shit's not right, and it's trying to actuate one way or another, and it ends up going to a limit, or it goes to the end of where you can pull with your steering or your throttle. And when it gets to that spot, it'll keep trying to go. It's like trying to go, and basically what happens is it just strips the gears out, and then you're out another $20 or whatever it is for a new throttle or a new steering. These things, they're kind of cheap. The good ones are expensive. If you buy a really good one, you can spend a couple $100 on a steering servo per se, but they're more for the high end, really big 4-wheel drive RC cars and stuff like that. So the battery that I'm using I have no idea if it's going to work. It's probably where I should start to see if it's even going to do what we need to do, but let me unplug it from the charger. I don't know if it's even got enough juice, but like I said, my dogs, one of them got it, and the good thing is that it looks like all the connections are still made, so I haven't put it on an ohm meter yet. I probably should, but I figure let's just throw it in there and see if it powers up at all, and we'll kind of go from there. I'm not gonna put it in the car itself, mostly because if I do it, I'm worried it might be like a little bit of a hazard, truthfully. So assuming you can see this, so the battery one's at the bottom. This thing's been it's been a long time since it's been on, so I may end up having to put a binder cable in it, which will go into the accessory spot right here. Binder is just this. Basically, it's just a jumper wire that jumps the outer two, and it tells it, hey, I need bound. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's put that right there for now. Let's turn my old ass Spectrum, what is it, DX2 transmitter on and see if I can get anything to happen here. No guarantees. This stuff hasn't been used. Oh wait, you can see that? Did anybody see that? The green light just come right on when I click this. So apparently, after all this time, this thing's still paired with the DX2. These things are set up on at the time it was really great technology, 2.4 gigahertz spread spectrum technology. Just about every RC car you can buy now has that. These, when they come out, were like, oh my gosh, they're the best thing in the world. You used to be, you would go and you take your car out and you had these off enough fail safes and stuff. I had one smoke a parking block at about, shit, I don't know, it was wide open. It must have been 50 at least. And it can be pretty exciting when it happens. I don't have any idea which one these are. So I've got two wires here. One of them goes to the throttle, one of them goes to the steering. So I'm just going to plug one in and see if I can figure out which one maybe goes to what. Maybe I'll get lucky. I got 50-50 shot here. So let's try to plug this one into that. And it looks like I got some movement. Which one was it? Hold on. I don't know if you can see. I'm trying to make it to where you can see. Let's see if we can. Well, actually, take the controller. Let's see what happens here. Nothing on the throttle. Okay, so I hit the steering, and now I've got this servo right here is moving. So that's good. Let's just set that over to the side. Only problem is it's in the wrong slot. So we need to move this one to the throttle. So we know that's the throttle now. That means this one's going to be the steering. So let's plug it into the steering slot. These have tabs on them. They don't all have tabs on them. It used to be you just had to kind of, it was a hit and miss type of situation. Uh-oh. I think I might have a problem with this steering servo here. It definitely don't look good. Either that or my battery just run dead. It's possible. It has no charge, or, well, it didn't have any charge. It's been sitting around for forever. Let's see. Oh, nothing. How sad. Let me look around and see if I can find another battery. I'm pretty sure that the battery's toast. My light's even blinking some on my Spectrum. Spectrums have a great fail-safe. So when the battery goes dead or whatever, or it's starting to die, it won't sit there and just totally just go wide open with the throttle. It will actually drop the throttle back down. You can set those settings up inside of the system itself. Same way with the steering. You know, you can, when battery gets low, you can lock the steering and it'll do what it's got to do. Give me a minute. I think I might know where another one of these are that the dogs didn't chew up. Let me go look. If I can't, then this thing might go on till tomorrow, but let me go see and I'll be right back. Okay, so I looked around and Wasn't able to find another battery pack like that one. However, I did find one of these. So this is really old school stuff. You might even see it on some of the new ones. Heck, I don't know, but basically it's got a 2-prong connector there, which actually will kind of work good for this, because the reason why I hooked it straight to the receiver and not to the on and off switch, which is right over here, is because it had a 2-prong inlet receiver. So basically the power goes into here, and then when you switch the switch on, it powers this part, which will go into the receiver. So I can actually hook this up the way it's supposed to. I'm not going to leave it like this permanently. I've got a couple different ones. This is an old one, but it's got the import for the 3-prong fitting. So eventually I'll buy another battery pack, or I'm sure I have one here, I just don't know where it's at. So I wanted to show you guys something. This is really kind of neat. Old school stuff right here. Remember I was talking about that off-nut failsafe? Look, I found one. This is what we used to use. We put this on the throttle, basically the throttle, in between the throttle connection, and you could set it to where the throttle would throttle back down, so you wouldn't just wide open and 70 mile an hour into whatever. And actually this one was the one that failed on the one that I smoked the parking block with in the high school parking lot. So it is what it is. That's old stuff. The new stuff is obviously trial and error over years. Can do a lot for a lot of things. So I'm going to plug this into right here. And this thing's old as shit. It's rusty. We'll see if it even does what it's supposed to do. But I don't know if it's on or off, but let's see. That'd be it coming out of there. So plug this on and off into here. I'm hoping you can still see this without too much issues. My spectrum's still on. It's getting a little low though. I mean, these batteries have been in here for a while. It's not a good idea to leave your batteries in any of your stuff if you're going to leave them set for a while. I've always been kind of bad about it. Let's see if the switch will do it. I don't know if it will or not. Nope, nothing there. So let's see. Try to wiggle it around a little bit, maybe. Nothing yet. I know these batteries are good. The connections on this thing might not be. They're pretty rusty. So got a lot of corrosion, a lot of different things going on there. So might take me a minute to try to diagnose this one to figure out what's going on with it. One thing I can do real quick, I think with these I can still do it. Let's see. Let's pull this out. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I should be able to just plug this battery right into this. Now, the only thing is it's not going to have the 3. It's got 2. So you need to pay attention to where the slot was. It's on the right. A lot of them will tell you. This one doesn't. So let's plug it into there and see if I've got what I need to get here. I'm going to turn this off real quick and then turn it back on and see if it boots up. I know it did once, so let's see. No, nothing yet. Strange. Okay. Well, I'd say the problem probably is in the battery, this battery pack right here then, if that's what's going on. So let's pull it out and I'll stick an ohmmeter on it and we'll see. This must be making a bad connection somewhere. Probably one of these springs is dirty, or could even be the connector on the inside, maybe it's dirty. Well, you can see it's all dirty. This thing's been sitting around for forever. It's not a bad idea to carry extra ones of these. You know, I mean, at least something. You may be out at the track, or you and your buddy are at a dirt mound that you found, and you got some really good jump you're trying to do or whatever. And yeah, well, damn it, my battery just went dead, and I'm done for the day. That kind of sucks, you know. So worst case scenario, sometimes you can get out of a pinch with one of these guys, but I'm gonna put this all on an ohm meter real quick and see what kind of voltage I got with, first of all, the batteries, and then see what I got coming out of them, and make sure everything's coming out right. And then if it is, then we'll look into a few other things. But I really suspect that it's got a bad connection somewhere. So hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, as goes every RC project I've ever worked on, there's just issues you run into. So basically there was a little bit of corrosion on one of these little springs. I don't know which one, but I cleaned it up real good, and then I ohm-metered it again and finally got some power coming out of here. So let's try it, see if it'll power up. Again, guys, this is kind of important. You need to make sure this goes in the right way. In this case, the red's in the middle. If you don't know, most of them are labeled. This thing's, like I said, it's really old. It's probably one of the first models. Like I said, just follow this directions here. Make sure your positives are right and the negatives are right. Let's slide this in and see if it's going to do what it's supposed to do. Alright. We got the green light to come back on, so that's good. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Now that I got this working and I know I got power here, let's go ahead and try the on and off switch. Pull this out. Just be gentle with these, man. They're really small tabs, and a lot of things can happen with this thing. These also. So, let's slide this in here. So you can see these are. I think these tabs right here have bent up a little bit. Oh no, actually, it just depends on where you hold the wire. Again, this shit's really old, so let's go ahead and see if we can't get this to connect. Alright, went in good that time. Alright, so power coming out of the switch is right here. I'm going to hook that up down here. Oh yeah, there we go. Alright, so green light's on, that's good. I heard some servo action happening. Sorry if you can't see this, guys. It's real tight right here, so just bear with me. I'll try to get the best camera angle. So the on and off switch is working just fine. That's off, that's on. Let's see what happens with the servo. Can you guys see that right there? It's real small, so I don't know how much you can see it, but so basically now that we've got that, we'll go ahead and we're not going to mess with the throttle just yet. Let's go ahead and position the steering here. Make sure that none of this is off, and if you have this set up for something else and you got it trimmed, go ahead and go to, let me see if I can remember how to do this, mode. We're in Model 2. Let's see. Travel adjustment. This would be your steering. I've got 124. So it's been a while since I messed with this thing, so just keep in. Here we go. Looks like it says SB trim. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Increase.
Yeah, so as I'm doing that, what's happening here, you can't hardly see it, but the throttle, or the steering, is actually turning. So we're going to set this at 0 for now. Okay. Alright, so that takes care of our steering. Let's go ahead and put this in position. So again, try to get your wheels as straight as possible. Just kind of look down the front of the car. And then you just want to kind of set this on and let it just fall into place. Okay? Let me grab my screwdriver. I'm going to screw right here on the top. Be careful, do not over tighten this thing. This one has a little bit of a steering saver on it. This is meant to slip a little bit if you bump into something or whatever, and it'll slip inside of here. Again, these aren't the best, but it's better than nothing. Especially if you got a really expensive servo and you not want to tear it up. That's why I removed them to begin with. Let's see if we got any steering at all. Okay, looks like we got pretty good action out of that, and once we drive it, we may have to make a little bit of adjustment, but that's that later on down the road we can do that. The next one is going to be, let's put this stuff out of the way here. Drop this down in this box. It'll go. Now I'm going to hold off on that for the time being because I still got to run that antenna wire through there, which is this right here. So let's just leave that set. I'm just going to move it to the back so it's out of the way of the throttle. Okay, so we don't have the throttle hooked up yet. Let's see if that servo works. Move the antenna out of the way. Again, I'm trying to make it to where you guys can see it. So it says right here, throttle and THR. So make sure this is the slot, tab's in the right spot. If you don't know if yours doesn't have a tab, if your plugins don't have a tab, hopefully it's got a plus minus and a blank up here. So if it doesn't, then you need to use real caution because putting this in the wrong way will cause some real serious damage to some of your stuff. So okay, we're plugged in there. So it's going to be this one right here. Let's see what happens. Alright, well, we have some throttle action going on and braking. Okay, so now that we do that, let's do the same thing. Let's go back to mode and let's go back to trim. I'm going to hit this channel, I think. Yeah, that's it right here. So if I hit channel, it took me back to now I'm on my throttle position. You see the last model I had was negative 55, so I'm going to increase that all the way to 0. What it's going to do is it's going to turn that servo and basically home it back out. So now that I'm on 0, we're going to leave it there. Let that set over there for now. And again, we're going to do the same thing. Now this one, you want to take and put a little bit of pressure on the throttle itself. You can see it has a spring right here. What that's meant to do is kind of push this way a little bit when you let off the gas. So basically, it's going to put the throttle all the way in and give you just a little bit of spring pressure so it shoves it back so the carburetor's all the way closed, basically. And we're probably going to have to adjust that a little bit because we didn't get to slide over all the way, but what the heck did I do with that little baby screw? Well, let me see if I can find the screw. Just a second, and I'll be right back with you, okay? Alright, so I found the screw, and it was just laying back here. Shove it in here. Again, don't over tighten these things. I mean, you want them to stay down on the gear, but you don't want to strip it out because then as you go and you hit bumps and whatever else, you run into all kinds of issues. So Let's check the throttle to see if we have throttle. We have throttle. So this is important. As you see, when I pull back on the trigger, it's opening the throttle up, okay? It's also releasing the brake right here. So it's releasing the brake and it's opening the throttle up. Now, the reason why I say it's important is because the brakes can't be engaged while you're trying to throttle, or else basically it'll stall the car out. One thing, you need brakes though, so when you hit forward on the trigger, you're going to see it pull back, okay? See it pull back? And we're going to have to make some adjustments to these. There's these screws right here that can be adjusted out to pull this back. It looks like these brakes are pretty worn. Again, this is the first time I've looked at this RC. The brake pad's right in here. It could be pretty wore out. It may not even be there. But I'll check it out and kind of, go from there. I definitely see a brake disc right there, and the pads look kind of good. So it could just be maybe an adjustment here or there that needs to be done. But at any rate, yeah. So you definitely want to make sure that you've got brakes. So what we're going to want to do is probably when we get all of this trimmed out, and everything's all where we want it set up, we'll probably take and make the final adjustments. Basically, when it's sitting there and the throttle is all the way in, we want just enough of this thing touching up here to where it's not engaging the brake, but it's ready to hit the brake when you barely hit forward. Because if you can't stop this thing, it can get out of control pretty quick. So that's all we're going to do with that for now. That's some minor adjustments later on. We'll get it out, we'll get it started. We'll figure out where the throttle needs to be. Basically, the throttle, you shouldn't have to adjust this part to idle up or down. There's a screw right here that basically, when you close all the way, that should be where your idle is. So don't try to adjust it here. If you're doing that, you're doing it wrong. There's a screw right here that basically will open and close the idle adjustment. Okay, so I guess the only thing left really is to, I'm going to turn this off. When I turn this off, the green light should go on. Green light went off. I'm going to turn the switch off right here. Now, I don't have any power, and the reason why I do that is because I'm getting ready to go in here and move some of these wires around, tuck all this stuff away. So, shove these down here. So, the hardest part about this is just trying to get everything to fit sometimes. It's nice if you've got a nice receiver, because a lot of them are just really small and they fit in a lot of inconvenient spots. It's not a real big headache. You got a really big one, it becomes kind of an issue. So I don't know how good you guys are gonna be able to see this or not. I'm trying to feed this up through here. I'm gonna go ahead and bend this back. Hopefully I don't break it. There we go. See? Right through there, just like that, and around the back, and inside here, and outside. Okay. So I just want to make sure none of this is in a bind or anything. So it looks to be okay to me, and make sure you don't have too much pressure on it to where it's there. I stole the antenna tube and the antenna cap off of the Sportworks. That's what we're going to use for this. Hopefully yours has it. If it doesn't, go get one. You do not want this thing to wrap up in the wheel or something and yank it right out of your receiver, and then it'll be done for like forever until you get a new receiver. So this just slides up in there. Usually they're pretty easy to do. Depends on how many times it's been in and out. But keep going until you see it just barely poke out like that. Hopefully it's long enough. If it's not long enough on yours, you're going to need to do something. Either trim your antenna tab down so that it's shorter to where you can bend it over and put a cap on it, because you don't want it to float up and down. You basically want it to set right there. This is going to shove down into this little hole right here. And it should shove down in there pretty good. It looks like that did. And then let's go ahead and pop this down. I think before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and put these 2 screws in here. Actually, there's 3, but I think I only had 2. I'll put these 3, well, if I can find another screw, I'll put it in. I had 2. I'm going to go ahead and put them in and lock this down so I don't have to worry about it moving, and I got a good idea as to how much antenna is left. So I got some slack in here for it to move around for jostling and whatnot. So, let's go ahead and screw this down. I don't believe this is the right bulb, but it was the one that was in it, so. I don't think we need a 1/2-inch long bolt to go into a piece of plastic just right there. But, let's see. This one was in the front right here. And ain't really none of this the right bolts, but they'll work. They don't have to be perfect sometimes in RC. Alright, so let's get some more wires out of the way. I'm going to move this antenna wire over to the side just a little bit. Antenna wire is really the one that's important, so I'm trying to take best care of it as possible. The rest of the stuff can be replaced pretty easy, but you definitely don't want to tear up your receiver. Now that I got that, just what I usually do is just bend this over just a little bit, like so, and then pop your cap on, like this. Again, all that's going to do is just hold your antenna in position. It's not going to affect your signal strength or anything like that, so don't worry about that. Just get it to where it's going to set in there pretty good and call it a day. And the rest of these wires just need to be snugged up and shoved up in here. Again, be gentle. Don't go yanking on stuff. Just nice and easy. Kind of let everything fall together and tuck it away in a nice little spot, and you'll be good. Sometimes these big battery boxes fit not too good, but this one don't. Hanging up a little bit. Let's see what we can do. What's hanging up on is the going in cables for the steering and the throttle. So what I'm going to do is shove those back here and try to lift up on them. See if I can't slide it underneath them. There we go. And we're getting somewhere, maybe. Alright, I'm sure. Try to slide it back in this one, I guess. And again, I think the key here is just not to fight with anything too hard. You know? Yeah. Sometimes they can be a real pain. I mean, just don't get frustrated. Just sit down and nice and easy. If you had a smaller, different style batteries, this box here is just not. It's really super tight for this style of battery pack. Probably be better with that blue one that I had, but it ain't charged. I think it's still good, even though the dogs chewed it up. But it just isn't charged all the way. Come on, kiddo. Interesting. Man, I've fought with these things for quite some time. Sometimes you just. There we go. So, again, just be gentle and watch the wires and don't overdo anything. It's just going to cause you a bunch of headaches later on if you do. This box is really tight. So, it's one of the tightest ones I've actually seen. Even with my Spectrum in there, it's really snug. So, we'll just kind of shove the rest of these wires up in there. I shouldn't do it. Just about. Just one up here in the front. So, we got that. Best thing I would say is when you get to this point, let's go ahead and retest everything. So, turn this on, turn this on, and just check everything and just make sure that you got, okay, throttle's working good, and steering's working good. And this is the first time I've actually powered the electronics on this one up. I've had it running just with manual throttle control. I've actually got all of the gearing and everything all spaced out correctly. Everything fits really nice. You can see it's spinning real well without any slop. This is pretty much ready to go with gas and a few adjustments here. Put these covers back on. I think I got them right here. I do not know where the bolts are though. If I had to guess, it's probably one of these guys around here. So, took all this stuff off, I don't know, last year sometime. So, this part actually was all closed up when I bought it, but he had everything else off. You know, this center was off, this was off. He hadn't taken the fuel tank off yet. These were here, but basically, like, this entire section was out. I don't know what he was trying to do, but he had already had it torn pretty well down. I just made a few adjustments to the engine when I got it in and got it running pretty quick, so. Alright. This one's set up for the clips, so that's good. Some of them are set up for the clips, most of them are, because you want to get in there pretty quick. Some of them aren't though. I've seen them both ways, so. This one, hopefully this clip goes in. Yeah. Easy peasy. And same way back here in the back. Come on now. I got this finger is still hurting a little bit. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Looks like we did lose a little bit of signal here. Oh, there it goes. That could be, I'll tell you the reason why, probably, is because I'm running low on voltage here. Let me go ahead and pop these open. I'm going to spin them around. Yeah. As soon as I did that, my volts just went all kinds of wacko. Another reason why you shouldn't leave your batteries in is because inside of there they can bust or do a bunch of different things that can really screw your controller up. So, let's pop this back in and see what happens. Still getting some minor interference, but I believe it's probably just because my battery's low. I may pop that back open one more time just to double check, but that's pretty much it. That's how you're going to install it. Just be careful with the wires when you're putting them in. Once you get everything all up and running, make sure everything's functioning before you put it back together, because then you have to just take it all back apart. What I've got here is more likely a battery issue on this, but it could be just because of these clusters here. So if it is, I may have to spread some of these wires out and move them over here a little bit farther. So just stuff like that, and just kind of go slow and take your time and work out stuff. Anyway, that's it. One last thing, guys. So, you know, I was getting a little bit of interference there towards the end of the video, and I think I figured out why. So, you know, when we was in the mix of trying to shove all these in here, and it's all pretty tight, the power wire was actually kind of twisted around the steering wire. And you wouldn't think it, but in the case of especially these old ones, that little bit right there, the little bit of the juice that's coming through the power wire, can sometimes throw a little bit of signal interference with the steering servo. So what I did was I basically just come back in and I disconnected the power down here at the bottom, which was wrapped around this and plugged in, and just basically just cleaned it up a little bit. And then I pulled a few of these two bolts out right here so I could kind of adjust things around, so I could get a little bit more movement out of what I was trying to do. And it looks like I got it pretty good now. It's just one thing you want to really be careful of when you're doing this, and when you put this back together, that you don't accidentally pinch off one of the wires. See, like the antenna wire right there? See how that was right there? It's so easy to do, and I don't suggest doing it that way, but if you had to go back because something's like just, you know, you're just not happy with it, then, you know, just be careful when you're putting these back down that all the wires are clear of this. And it looks like they are now, so and the rest of them are just going to have to tuck in like that. So just put it back together and try it, and if it looks like you're getting some interference still, you can check a few other things, you know, maybe move a few things around if you need be, or whatever it takes to, you know, try to get it to work out to where you feel like it's in pretty good shape, and you're not going to have any long-term, you know, issues running it out there. You're not going to lose the signal. Most of the time, most shit now is spread spectrum, so if you lose signal, you're not going to lose your car. It's not like it's going to go 100 mile an hour into a parking block, but that's pretty much it, guys. All right, thanks.